Be my books, head on your shoulder with damn good looks. Be my head, and I'll paint your picture, darling, the best I can. Be my heart, and I've got you in the end. I wish I had you from the start.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. There's more seating upstairs for the people coming in. If you're looking for more seating, there's lots more seating. Oh, and people are waving from upstairs. Don't throw anything. No throwing. Okay. We're going to wait a few minutes. A few people are still coming in. Hi. I'm Marsha. Then I'll call you guys on. Well, I'm going to call Howard, who's going to say, still flashing that you'll be able to come up. Okay, we're waiting for our stragglers to find their seats so we can get started because Betsy has us on a very tight schedule. By the way, Betsy lost her cell phone. It's a Samsung and it has 2 coins taped to the back. If anyone has found that cell phone, please save this woman's life and give it to her. It's very important. Can you imagine losing your cell phone? This is like, okay. Are we ready? I think we're ready to get started. Welcome, everyone. Aren't we happy to be here? Yes. Yes. I'm Marsha Bromberg. I'm president of Friends of the Mountains to Sea Trail Board. What an honorary thing it is for me to be here and to be part of it. Now, last year, the Ungathering, how many people went to the Ungathering? I mean, it was amazing, right? But this is so much better. And here we are in person. I can't believe it. We actually did it. So welcome here. Welcome to this beautiful place in this historic building. So many good things are going to be happening over tonight and tomorrow. We have a wonderful program. We have luminaries here today. We have luminaries of trails, parks, and forests. These are amazing people, and you're going to hear them give their views. We will also have representatives. Luckily, we have representatives from the Eastern Band of the Cherokee tribe, and they're going to be here later in the evening. So we have so much that's going to be happening packed into this evening. But we're going to start I'm going to hand this over to, I talked about luminaries, right? This is a star among stars. This man, well, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this man. And you're going to hear so much more about him tomorrow. So it is my pleasure to give you Howard Lee.
Please don't do that. Thank you so much. You're so very kind, and I really appreciate having friends like you. I have the great privilege to return the favor to a person who heads up our Department of Natural Resources. D. Reed Wilson has an impressive history of providing leadership in the area of taking care of our natural resources, and of course, has a great vision of where we need to go. He had 4 years to prepare himself for this high-level responsibility as he served as deputy under the first term of Governor Cooper. He has now assumed the role of the chief leader, the one who is going to take us to the next level. I'll have some more comments on that later on tomorrow. So I'm confident that he has already proven himself as a valuable resource for us because he has led the charge of getting the largest appropriations from the legislature in support of natural resources, parks, and even the MST, which the legislature said at one point it would never fund. So I have a great deal of respect for this man. I have a high degree of confidence in his skill, his ability, and I'm just delighted that he's in charge of taking us to the next level in terms of responding to the MST and doing all the things that we need to do to make sure this trail gets the kind of support it needs. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to present to you our Secretary of the Department of Natural Resources, D. Reed Wilson.
Thank you, Senator Lee. Just have to say, it's an honor for me to share a podium with you because none of us would be here tonight were it not for you and your vision and your leadership and your service to the people of North Carolina in so many ways, but in particular, being the force and the inspiration behind the Mountains to Sea Trail. So let's give it up again. I bring warm greetings from Governor Roy Cooper, and I'm really happy to be with all of you tonight. It's great to see folks around this room that I've known for almost 20 years, some of you. Let me take a minute to talk about the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. Just so you know, all the things we do. We take care of North Carolina treasures literally from A to Z. Arts, zoo, and a whole lot of other things in between. Parks, which includes trails, aquariums, the science museums, the Land and Water Fund and the Natural Heritage Program, the State Library, the Symphony, the Arts Council, the art museums, I'm going by section, 27 historic sites, 7 history museums, historic preservation, archaeology, underwater archaeology, shipwrecks and stuff. The African American Heritage Commission, and soon we will establish an American Indian Heritage Commission. So we do all, the archives, I think I forgot them. We do all of those things, and some in Raleigh have started to call us the Department of Fun. And I'm actually okay with that because for the last 2 years, all we've had is stress and worry and angst. And the more fun we can have right now, the better. But it's not just about fun. Let's do it for fun. But it's more than just fun. It's a lot more than that, because what I think is important about our department is the sites, the places, the ideas they represent all help create a sense of shared identity among us as North Carolinians. They provide common ground for all of us, which is a really important concept these days. And everyone is welcome at our places, whether it's an art museum or a park or a trail or an aquarium. Everybody's welcomed, everybody's treated the same with respect, and we really think that is important. I want to spend a couple minutes talking about my friend and former colleague, Kate Dixon. Funny story, a few of you know this, 20 years ago, Kate helped hire me when I interviewed to be director of the Conservation Trust for North Carolina. So I will always be indebted to Kate. She was on the board of CTNC at the time. And then, so I worked with her when she was at Triangle Land Conservancy, and then she organized this coalition called Land for Tomorrow, which still exists. And then, of course, she came to Friends of the Mountains Sea Trail. And throughout this almost 20 years, she has just been a phenomenal leader, an inspiring leader, someone who is persistent and effective and goal-oriented and gets stuff done. And I think you all are aware of those qualities she brings to the job. Oh, there you are. So I know everyone here is going to miss you, but somehow I think you're not really going that far away and you'll still be involved. But Kate, to you, thank you so much for leading this organization in such a brilliant way. And while you have been the director, I believe it's about 200 more miles of the trail have been added, which is an amazing accomplishment. So thank you, Kate. I also want to welcome Brent as the new director. We don't know each other all that well, but we will. And I'll just say this, you have mighty big hiking boots to fill, but I'm sure you're up to the task. I also want to get back to Senator Lee and Secretary Lee, the same person. It was his idea those many years ago, and I'll try and do a quote here. Where did it go? Oh, he proposed a state trail from the mountains to the coast, a trail leading through communities as well as natural areas. He said a lot more than that, but I think that sums it all up. It's through the natural areas and through communities, so we all get linked together in a united kind of way. It was a brilliant idea. And this vision is becoming a reality. Every week, seems like another section gets added or another section gets repaired. And we all know none of that would have happened without all of you in this room and hundreds of other Mountains to Sea Trail volunteers. You all are the ones who took this vision and turned it into reality. So I want you to know how important your role has been all across the state to making this a reality. It's really an incredible thing to watch, not from afar, but not right up close either. I know it's just a huge effort. I know a lot of you are out there in good weather and bad with, shovels and all sorts of stuff, working hard. And I just wish everyone in the state knew about how this has been done over these last many years. It's really a great story. You all are bringing the numerous benefits of trails to the people of North Carolina. I want to sort of go through what those benefits are, even though you are all aware of them. First, our health, physical, mental, spiritual. We have all learned in these last 2 years how important it is to get outside and get exercise. State parks, visitation increased from 20 million one year to 23 million the next. That's a 15% increase, which is pretty substantial. And it's because people were they just had to get outside and do something that would, get them some exercise, get them healthy, but also help them clear out their head from all the misery going on and uncertainty. And so I think we all understand that health is a really important aspect of why we have trails and why we need more. And I think the fact, and I'll come to this in more detail, the fact that there's so much new money in the budget for parks and trails is an indication that the legislature and the governor all recognize the connection between parks and trails and our health. And that is a great thing, because it's a great thing because I think we all want to ask for more of that money in coming years, because I don't think visitation is going to go back down. You know, we don't have to convince anyone to keep going to parks and trails. We just need more parks and trails and greenways for them to find. Yeah, I do hike a lot, and I also walk on the Greenway in Raleigh, and I ride my bike a fair amount. And what I see is people who are happy. They're having a good time. They're feeling good about the world. Maybe it's a family with little kids, and they're just having a blast. But I also see people maybe walking on their own, deep in thought, maybe trying to sort through something in their lives. And I know for myself, when both of my parents died, my mom last year, my dad like 15 years ago, that I would go walk in Umstead and go down to on the Company Mill Trail, and there's rocks by the water, and I would just sit there and watch the water go by and think about my dad or think about my mom. And I think this is a wonderful thing that our parks and our trails provide, is that ability to go just either be with your family or be by yourself, but be in a place where you can just kind of experience it and either think deep thoughts or think no thoughts at all. It doesn't really matter. But that's why this Mountains to Sea Trail is so important. It's another opportunity for people to do something they need to do and that they want to do. So when I get back to the parking lot, whether it's a happy day for me or a thoughtful day for me or for everyone else, what I notice in the parking lot at Umstead or any other park I go to is those people seem to be in a better place than they were when they showed up. And I think you all have experienced that, but it just underscores the importance of your work in connecting this trail and making it available to everybody. And by the way, because of the Mountains to Sea Trail, I think I will actually be able to achieve the state parks 100-mile challenge, both on my feet and on my bicycle this year, which I'm excited about. But I got a long way to go. So that I said I was going to talk about the many benefits to parks. I've only done the first one, and the other ones are shorter, but health is so key these days. Second, when you are setting aside land for a trail, you are protecting that land and protecting the waterway nearby so that it doesn't get developed and create polluted runoff for the communities downstream, and so that you're maintaining habitat for the wildlife and the plants. I think everybody understands that, but it's important to remember that these trails do provide, wildlife corridors and areas where the natural world is protected, which is critical given how many people are moving to North Carolina every year. Third one, your trail, other trails, state parks, local parks, all function as environmental education places. And I love to see little kids maybe wandering off the trail a little bit. Sorry, Dwayne, I know they're supposed to stay on the trail, but they go off and they see something, or they're digging around in a fallen log or whatever. And while they are there, they are perhaps developing that lifelong love of the outdoors that we all want them to develop, so that when they grow up, they will respect nature. And so I think every time a little kid goes out, we're on a trail or at a park, we are helping to develop that next generation of conservation-minded people, which is really, really important for the future of the outdoors, but also for their individual health as well, the rest of their lives. And then there's obviously an economic benefit to all these trails. I mean, the fact that this one connects communities is really neat to think about. You can walk from one community to another, and maybe you had breakfast in this one, and then you'll have lunch at that one, and then, that helps the local businesses in that area. Also, increasingly in North Carolina, businesses that expand here or bring their business to our state, they talk about how there's green places for their employees to go. Trails, parks, greenways, local, state, federal, doesn't matter. they're all good. And again, the Mountains to Sea Trail is helping to expand and lengthen those opportunities for people and communities to provide that quality of life that might attract a business and make people want to stay in that community for a long time. So those are big benefits. So again, I want to thank all of you who are bringing these benefits of this trail to the people of North Carolina. I also want to thank all the advocates and others in this room and around the state for your work at the legislature this past many months. This state budget increase for our department is transformational in so many ways, particularly, across, I wouldn't say particularly or only, but definitely in parks and trails. Large, as Senator Lee mentioned, largest investment in parks and trails in the state's history. When you add it all up, parks, trails, and the Land and Water Fund, which sometimes conserves land and enables a park or a trail to be done, total, it's over 300 million extra dollars compared to usual. 300 million. So I'll break it down a little bit. About 29 million for trails grants, 101 million for the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund, and 30% of that by law goes to local governments through a competitive grant process. 3 million specifically for the Wilderness Gateway Trail, 40 million for water and sewer projects at state parks, and that doesn't sound glamorous at all, but it's really, really important for those facilities to work, for a park to be running well. About another 30 million for specific park projects around the state, including a new state park not far from here at all, Pisgah View State Park in Buncombe and Haywood counties. More money at Hanging Rock. It goes on and on and on. So plus 115 million at the Land and Water Fund, which I mentioned, that money can be used for land acquisition for parks. So what we have to do now is make sure we spend it all well, and we will, but it is a lot. Oh, plus the federal government passed a permanent authorization of the Land and Water Conservation Fund, which brings more money definitely into the state each year for projects on federal land, but also state park projects and local park projects. Plus, back to the whole advocate thing, you guys helped make this happen. Legislature here passed a law creating the Year of the Trail in 2023, which is only 8.5 months away. So for you guys, every year is the Year of the Trail. I understand that, but it isn't for everyone else. But we're going to bring that to them. So we look forward to working with all of you and other trails advocates around the state to really bring home how important trails are and where they are. And speaking of where they are, not too long ago, Governor Cooper signed an executive order on transitioning to a clean energy economy, along with making strides in environmental justice. And I just want to talk for a minute about how park access, trail access, in fact, is an environmental justice issue. Most people think of environmental justice as, underserved, low wealth communities should not bear the disproportionate burden of health problems from pollution. And that is absolutely true. And we have a long way to go to make sure that no community is burdened by pollution that harms the people who live there. But on the flip side of the coin, we also have to make sure there's equitable access to the good environmental stuff, like trails and greenways and parks. And there are parts of the state where there are big gaps. And we're trying to figure out ways that would enable us to direct more of our resources towards providing parks and trails and greenways in those parts of the state. But part of the difficulty there is some of those places don't have the capacity to even submit a grant application to our department, our division of parks. So we're trying to figure out how to, at the very grassroots level in small communities, work with them so that we can help them create these wonderful recreational facilities where they live. So again, we want to make sure that everybody in the state can get in the car or on a bike and be in a park or on a trail in not very many minutes. So we have a long way to go there. But the more you extend the Mountains to Sea Trail, the more access you'll provide to people all along the route across the state. So keep doing that. Other thing we're trying to do to connect people to the outdoors, especially in underserved areas, is an initiative we have called PATH, which stands for Parks and Trails for Health. I actually thought of that myself and I was really proud of it. It's not often I come up with something, but it was all based on Dwayne Patterson inspiring me with his vision of connecting every single kid in this state to a trail or a park or some outdoor experience that transforms their lives. Anyway, I digress. Our PATH initiative is focused on educating people about where parks and trails and greenways are, how to get there, what the health benefits are, and we're trying to focus our outreach efforts on communities where they don't have these facilities necessarily. Diverse communities in places where, you know, there's a parks desert, for lack of a better term. And so our PATH initiative, working alongside the Year of the Trail, working alongside this huge budget infusion for parks and trails, means this is like the most exciting time ever for people like us who love parks and trails and want to bring them to everyone in this state. So I just close again by thanking all of you for the incredible work you do all across the state. It is so important to the people who live in North Carolina and to the people who come and visit, but you are providing an important service to everyone, and I really appreciate it. And it's just, the other thing I would just say, it's just so wonderful for all of us to be in person in a room. It's been so long. Anyway, thank you all very much. Hope you have a great meeting.
Thank you, Secretary Wilson. We are so fortunate to have a person like Secretary Wilson in that position. And as he said, all the things that are happening. Now I'm going to invite some people to come up on the stage for the next section of our program. But I would like to do is mention something that Secretary Wilson touched on, is getting people on the trail. And something that we, the Friends, are working on is bringing people in, not just building a trail, but letting people know the trail is there, making sure everybody feels welcome on the trail and that they feel safe and secure while they're on the trail. And you're going to hear a little bit more about what we're doing tomorrow, but this is an important initiative. But right now, I'm going to turn you over to my board colleague, Julie Jester Gayhart, who's going to lead a discussion among our luminaries. So first she will introduce them and they'll be talking about the trail.
Excellent. Can you guys, yes, you can hear me. So if someone would have told me a couple years ago that you would be sitting up on a panel with some wonderful individuals from our Great Smoky Mountains National Park, from our Blue Ridge Parkway, from our North Carolina State Parks, and also our National Forest of North Carolina, I would have told all of you that you are insane. So there are a couple people that I need to thank for this. First and foremost, and a lot of you are probably going to be thanking her over the weekend. If it was not for Kate Dixon in her 2020 newsletter that went out in August of 2020 that said, "Take joy in the open trail," I would not be here, and I would not be taking joy in this open trail and having this amazing opportunity, and also an amazing opportunity to serve you all as a board member. So thank you, Kate. Appreciate that. And another person I need to thank for putting me in this situation is Betsy Brown there in the back. She sent me a text message and she said, "Hey, do you mind moderating a panel?" And you just don't say no to Betsy. So I hear some laughs. You guys know that, right? You just don't say no to Betsy. So I said, "Oh, that's no problem." So it was a couple of days later, I think I got an email and she said, "Well, this is who's going to be on your panel." And I read the email and I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be amazing. And then she said we were going to have a Zoom call. And I said, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to like put on a nice shirt, do my hair. because I am going to be talking to some amazing individuals. And that Zoom call, I still have chills from our original Zoom call because these individuals, I'm going to give you some information that they shared and we will expand on that. So the overall goal for this evening is to have these individuals share what they are doing in their individual organizations and how they are going to coincide all that with the Mountains to Sea Trail. And an amazing fact, thank you, Dwayne Patterson, is that these 4 individuals, this blew my mind when we were on the Zoom call, manage over 2 million acres for all of us in the state of North Carolina. So I think they need a round of applause for that. And Dwayne and I, we added them up again last night. It might be over 2 million. Yeah, so thank you for that. And you guys are going to hear words this evening like being intentional. You're going to hear things like work does not get done without inspiration and perspiration. Let me say that again. Work does not get done without inspiration and perspiration. And you've already heard it once, and you're going to hear it more and more of how the Mountains to Sea Trail wants to connect communities across the state of North Carolina. And the best part of it all is the MST is the leader for many of our state trails. So you guys can give yourself a round of applause for contributing to the Mountains to Sea Trail. So everybody's supposed to clap again. So the way this 1 hour, and I have a timekeeper, by the way, so we're going to try to keep this on time because Betsy will not want us to go over an hour. But without further ado, let's introduce who's on the stage. So directly to my left, and I want to make sure I properly say their titles, is Miss Lisa McInnes, who is the acting superintendent of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. This is Lisa, everyone. And then to her direct left is Tracy Swartout, who is the superintendent of the Blue Ridge Parkway. And then to her direct left is the director of our North Carolina State Parks, Dwayne Patterson. And then to his direct left is our forest supervisor for the National Forest here in North Carolina, James Malonis. All right, you guys, this is when I turn it over to you. So would each of you kind of introduce yourselves and tell everybody what you do for your individual organizations? And we'll start with you, Lisa.
All right. Hello. Good evening, everybody. I'm glad to be here tonight. I have one minor correction, and I'm actually the acting deputy superintendent. Superintendent Cash has been on a detail serving as the regional director for the Interior Region 2 for the Park Service. So he has, for the last 5 months, been out of the park, helping manage the other 70-ish parks in this region. He is returning, though, which makes us all happy. The deputy superintendent is Alan Samaruski. He's actually on travel for training. So both of those folks would have preferred to be here tonight, but they are not here. So I'm honored to be here. Similar to what you said, Jester, if you could have said this is where I would be this evening, I would have said you were lying, but here we both are. So my career with the Park Service started with the Natchez Trace Parkway, headquartered out of Tupelo, Mississippi, which is also home to the Natchez Trace Parkway or Natchez Trace Scenic Trail that some of you may know about. And my background is in forestry and particularly fire ecology. So I started out as a fire ecologist and worked in many parks in the Southeast, helping run a vegetation monitoring program to look at the effects of prescribed fire and sometimes wildfire on Native communities. And graduated to more general resource management. And then a couple years ago, the position of Chief of Resource Management and Science came open at the Smokies, which is a dream job. And I have the best, I always say this, I have the best job in the park because I don't oversee everything from A to Z, but A to W, from air quality to wildlife, which includes the ever popular bears. And sometimes people think they're in a zoo when they're in the park, but they are not. So it's a wonderful position. So I'm glad to be here this evening with you all.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. And Tracy, you are up next.
All right, so is this on? Good,
Yes, they say it will magically come on.
it's magic. So I'm Tracy Swartout. I'm the superintendent at Blue Ridge Parkway. I've been on the Parkway for about 11 months. I've been a Park Service employee for about 22 years, and my background is I grew up in South Carolina, so this is coming home for me. I've lived in South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia. We're very excited to return. I spent 9 years as the deputy superintendent and acting superintendent at Mount Rainier National Park. That's where I was right before I came here. I know there's an ooh. across
yeah.
the room.
Ooh,
A wow
Mount
from the
Rainier,
crowd.
yes.
There, okay, right now at Paradise, there's 147 inches of snow. I checked it this morning. I was like, I don't miss driving through that every day. So I was at Mount Rainier for 9 years. Before that, I was a superintendent at Congaree National Park in South Carolina. Biggest trees east of the Mississippi. Or so they say. And let's see, I was there for about 6 years. Then I spent 7 years working in Washington, D.C. For the headquarters of the Park Service. I managed an internal consulting firm, and we did operations analyses for parks around the country. And in 7 years, I traveled to 75 parks, I think, around the country. And it was a great experience. My background is in natural resources. That's what I have graduate degrees in. I specialized in coastal geology and longshore sediment transport, which I don't use at all in my job. But I do use other parts of my education. And back when I was in school, I worked as a climbing instructor in Colorado, and I worked at the South Carolina State House of Representatives in the Medical Municipal Military Affairs Committee. And I'm a third generation federal employee.
Excellent. All right, Mr. Dwayne Patterson, you're up.
Well, the last time I talked, I think I had all of you stand up and dance, but we're going to skip that tonight when we were in Topsail Island. But it does feel to come home to you tonight. And I'm director of state parks. I know a lot of you I've met over the last couple of years, whether it's in Roseboro or up in Swain County or Ashe County or any county across the state. And State Parks is doing very well. I won't have to say anything. Reed gave a great speech and stole everything I was going to say. But I'm happy to be home with you here today and really excited. And I'll be here tomorrow and say a lot more.
Excellent. All right, James, it's up to you.
Okay. So, hey everybody, I'm James Malonis. I've been the forest supervisor for the National Forest in North Carolina about 1.5 years now. Came a little bit before Tracy started. Really happy to be back in North Carolina. I was here previously as a deputy forest supervisor for about 2.5, 3 years. During that time, and you all remember, we had the historic wildfires in 2016 that impacted us in the park and the communities. There's 4 national forests that we manage in North Carolina, about 1.2 million acres. The Nantahala and Pisgah here in the mountains, the Uwharrie in the Piedmont, and the Croatan on the coast. Just incredible forests, incredible biodiversity, and some of the most visited national forests in the country. So when you combine those two things, the biodiversity and the amount of use that we get, and plus the land use patterns that we have to manage, because these are all acquired lands. 100-something years ago, that national forest wasn't a thing, right? So we're very proud of the fact that the first tract of land that was ever purchased under the Weeks Act, which was the act that allowed us to do that purchasing in the eastern United States, is on the Pisgah National Forest, not too far from here on the Grandfather District. And so that's where it all started for the national forests in the eastern US. Before coming here and starting as a forest supervisor, I was a forest supervisor on the Santa Fe National Forest, based in Santa Fe, New Mexico. A beautiful forest if you ever get a chance or if you've ever been there. So that's one of the things I love about my job and working for the Forest Service. We are in so many places, incredible places across the country. and get to work with just a diversity of communities around the country. And the thing that I love the most is that at the end of the day, everyone loves the forest. Sometimes it's hard because of our mission, a multiple use mission that we have in the Forest Service. Everybody has an opinion about how we manage the forest sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's because they love the forest, right? And so anyway, so nice to see everyone and good to be here.
Excellent. I told you guys this panel. All right, so we have several questions, and I just want to let you guys know all of these questions are based on things that these individuals taught me on our 20-minute Zoom. So we'll start off. So share with us your organization's vision and how that coincides for the Mountains to Sea Trail. And Lisa, we'll start with you.
That's a good one. You know, I think the visions coincide because they both have a preservation mission and a goal for bringing people into nature and helping. You know, as we were hearing in earlier remarks, when you set aside land for whatever reason, by definition, you end up being able to set it aside for preservation, because whether that's the scenic view shed or the natural resources and water quality or preserving cultural landscapes. And I think that both of these organizations have those goals in mind.
All right, guess what, Tracy?
Okay. So, you know, interesting, Blue Ridge Parkway, when people hear I'm coming to the Parkway, they're like, but isn't it just a road? It's like saying, isn't the Mountains to Sea Trail just a trail? So the Blue Ridge Parkway, some of you probably know this, it was created to connect Shenandoah National Park with Great Smokies National Park. And it has a second part of why it was created, which was to be a supporter of local economy. All the while, whether you knew it or not, when you were driving a while and stopping a while, you would have the opportunity to connect to communities, large, medium, and small, all throughout the 469 miles, and get a chance to learn about Southern Appalachian lifeways, culture, arts, music, architecture, and the incredibly beautiful landscapes, the resources within. So our mission, just like the mission of the National Park Service, which is to protect the resources for this and future generations and give people a chance to connect with it, on the Parkway, the way I see that being similar to the Mountains to Sea Trail is that, you know, it's connecting two things, right? The mountains to the sea. And it's passing through all these communities. People have the chance to see it as their local park, the place they go just to hike, to get away, to do something local. But then it's also an asset that connects a large number of communities and makes you each a piece of a whole. You know, in the Parkway, we have 29 counties, 2 states. We have 1,100 miles of border, and we have over 4,000 neighbors, just like the mountains.
Excellent. There's that key word, communities again. So Dwayne?
Well, I think from the state parks perspective, we have a little bit more pragmatic approach to the importance of aligning ourselves not only with the Mountains to Sea Trail, the other partners on the state, but all of the state trails. Over the last few years, Reed mentioned that we went up about 3 million visitors. Well, I predict that by the time we get to 2030, we'll have 30 million. That's what the line says. We are introducing a lot of new people moving to North Carolina. It's our feeling that the people that are moving here, about a larger percentage of them will use our parks, will use our trails. And so we need your help. The Mountains to Sea Trail that you're out there building every day to help us absorb those visitors to our state and the new North Carolinians. And so from a very practical standpoint, build, baby, build trails and provide the resources to them. Like I said, whether it's in Roseboro or Wilmington or wherever, we will partner with you. We will do everything we can with you, because to the average person, they don't really see the difference between a state trail a state recreation area, federal land, or state land, or even municipal land. They see a place to go and enjoy and relax. And it's incumbent upon us to let those titles of where we come from be non-important to our consumers. So please help us. Let's work together in any way we can, and let's build that future. So when we get to 30 million people, think about that, Howard. 30 million people on these trails. and we just want to work with.
All right, thank you. All right, James.
So, one of the things that we're very proud of for the National Forest in North Carolina is exactly, we've always used our kind of unofficial motto was from the mountains to the sea, which is, one of the things that is unique about North Carolina, and obviously, the vision behind the trail. And so I was just, as I was coming up, I was looking at the map, and, the forests are kind of nodes as you make your way across the state. So we're very proud of that. The other thing I want to mention, we've been going through plan revision for the Nantahala and Pisgah for several years. I think many of you in this room have been engaged in that process. Through that process, there were kind of 4 unifying themes that we came out of all the work we've done with communities. That was connecting people to the land, providing clean and abundant water, restoring healthy ecosystems, and doing all of that by partnering with others. And so I think all of those things are embodied in the trail and our work together.
Excellent. And that will bring me to our next point that we're going to discuss is there's this term out here that people use, and everybody's heard it. It's called, we're loving this place to death. And that seems to be not only what's happening in North Carolina on our public lands, but across the United States because of COVID and various things. And how do we all work together from the Mountains of Sea Trail side to the Great Smokies Mountain National Park, where I know you guys are seeing this, graffiti, overcrowding, trash, busy trailheads, just damage to our public lands. How do we work together to continue to educate? Because there's nothing more sad than seeing pictures of the Smokies or individuals at our national forests who have, written their name in graffiti on a tree or on an old landmark or something that we love. So I would like to get all of your thoughts on how we work together and how we improve that. And James, I want to start with you.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we've seen, and I think all of us have seen, especially the last couple of years, as more folks are getting out. And, when we think about some of those impacts, one place that comes to mind that kind of embodies that on the forest is Max Patch, on the Appalachian Trail that was just getting hammered. And so not only was it, just not a good situation for safety and everything else, but really impacting the resource. I was talking to some folks during dinner about that, and it's amazing to see where we've come there. So there's ways that we can work through that. It's not always easy. And a lot of these challenges, we worked on creating a closure order so folks weren't camping on top of there, keeping to the trail. A lot of incredible work from partners like a lot of folks in this room and others to work on that. A lot of these are long-term challenges, and we're not always the most nimble organizations in the federal government to address those things, because they kind of can pop up out of the blue, like, wow, we didn't think that was going to be happening. And a lot of that has to do with infrastructure and facilities. So there's not like easy ways to deal with parking and all those sorts of things. So what we found is the only way that we can address that is bringing in those stakeholders and working through that and making sure we have a sustainable path forward, and making sure, kind of like what Dwayne was saying, that we're providing different opportunities in different places and trying to have people like go to other, there's a lot of great places in North Carolina that they can go, not just that one spot. So anyway, but it's an ongoing challenge for sure.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Lisa, like to hear your viewpoint on that, because the Great Smoky Mountains National Park has seen a lot of impact. Last year, over 14 million visitors to the park.
That's right. So, visitation is up, more than 50% over the last decade, park-wide. Even in the backcountry, it's up more than 30%, over the last decade. So it's the common theme you'll hear, is visitation is up. I think as people continue to crave being outside, which is a great thing. But how you manage that is a challenge, as others have said. And I think the only way to get at that, maybe there's two ways. The two primary ways, I think, are leveraging, the synergy that comes from volunteers and folks like you sitting here tonight, working together with us, and for us working together as the different agencies. I think that is the only way that you can help bolster the education piece that you mentioned. The other thing for the Smokies in particular is, we like many parks have, had a flat budget for a long time. And being the most visited national park in the system, we are unique in the sense that we don't charge an entrance fee like all other large parks. And so one of the more recent initiatives that you'll hear about, if you haven't already, is the idea of charging a parking fee, which would help generate revenue that would 100% be retained within the park, that would allow us to help manage the congestion piece and even the education piece, which then in turn helps us better manage, the natural and cultural resources we're charged with protecting. So I think I think for the park, it's a two-pronged approach. It's trying to continue leveraging these kinds of synergistic relationships, and then taking a stab at increasing the budget for the park.
And much needed, in my personal opinion. Ed Tracy.
So I'm from South Carolina, so I like to tell stories. So with your permission, I'll take a very brief sidestep. I was probably like 19 or 20, and I was working in Colorado teaching backpacking and rock climbing to young women. And I learned something new, what I didn't know about. Many of you probably know the rest step. Guys know when you're hiking long distance inclines, you do a rest step, and it takes the burden off your body. And the allegory I'll make is that the thing that we've done that got us here isn't the thing we need to do to get there. So I always thought I knew my body. I know how to hike. I don't need to learn a special step. I'm 20, I'm fit, I go up that 14er. But I learned the rest step, and it helped me on longer hikes, different kinds of incline, and it helped these young women who were carrying very heavy backpacks for the first time. And the comparison I make to the parks is, the thing that's got us to this point is a certain style of management that has to evolve. We know our bodies, we know the parks, we know how to manage them. We know how to bring in lots of people and give them a great experience and protect the resources. But the order of magnitude of the visitation that we have, the interests and the uses of the land that people want to do, has changed in a way that we have to change with them. And there are a lot of different things that we'll do to employ to try to shift, where the demand is, change when people go, provide education so that people can make better decisions. But I've been around the Parkway for my whole life in one way or another. My kids are named after places there, for goodness sake. And they hate that. And along the road, everywhere you go, people are parking along the road. And it used to be these big, beautiful green spaces, and now they're muddy and rutted and the road's getting undermined. There's 40 social trails connecting the Parkway to the MST just in the Asheville corridor between 191 and the Folk Art Center. And I do feel this very deep sense that there's this kind of loving it to death. The cars that are parked on the side of the road have the Love Your Mother sticker on it and the hiker affinity stickers. And I've chatted with folks, and, I think we have to lead by example. We're all in this community, we're all hikers. We have to share with our friends groups about how to act appropriately. And then we as managers of these lands have to figure out what we can do to push and pull on the equation to result in something a little bit different. But it's clear to me more people want to be out in parks. So I do think for us, looking at parking options that are off the parkway potentially and ways to get people through trail connectivity, partnership with the forests and state parks and other places where we can ensure that people can get from places where there's parking to places where there's recreation. And I think there are a lot of opportunities in the bipartisan infrastructure bills that are coming through, some of the trails monies that are coming to the state to really make that connective tissue work so that any one individual place doesn't get destroyed by the places around it.
Well,
All right, where do you see this with our North Carolina State Park?
Well, I'm glad to listen to everything they're saying because I can apply it now to North Carolina. What we've been doing to try to alleviate some of our overcrowding is putting an emphasis on the underused parks that are in our system. And we have had tremendous growth in those. In fact, the growth at the smaller parks is much higher percentage-wise than at some of the larger parks. And I think it's like through things like the Our State magazine that came out recently, where they focused on the parks that aren't being used. So some of you guys will go to those parks instead of maybe Chimney Rock or someplace that gets used to death. And that's one way that we're looking at it. Over the longer term, we're winners. This room right here is a room full of winners. You guys got $30 million in the budget this time. $30 million, which is a lot for North Carolina the first time, and I'm fairly certain that you'll get recurring money. I probably shouldn't say that, but it's a good chance that with the work that people like Brent and Kate and other people across the state are doing, we'll get there. And so how do you turn that winning momentum in that you're experiencing on the federal level and we're experiencing legislatively and gubernatorially on the local level? How do we turn that into more money? And then we need data to decide how we spend that money that's best by listening, like other people up here have said. And so that's where I see us at. It's not an insurmountable problem. It's something that can be done. And I know we can do it and we will do it. If we can build a Mountains to Sea trail, we can figure out how to get everybody a parking space.
Yes, I think we should clap on that. Fist bump. There you go. So we're creating this theme here of from these wonderful individuals, from how we're going to work together to how we're going to build and continue connecting our communities. And then you've heard the buzz of 2023 and celebrating North Carolina's Year of the Trail. And I want to read something that came from the Great State Trails Coalition website. It says, through marketing and events, this statewide campaign will increase awareness about trails, boost use by locals and tourists, reach underserved communities, recognize trail volunteers, and promote responsible and safe use of trails. And I was going to ask a question about this, but I think these individuals answered that for us already. You guys have a vision, you have a plan, and there is this money coming down from the state of North Carolina. And could you just give us a little taste of what your individual organizations are planning on how to utilize some of the funding that you might be getting in various areas? And let's see, James, let's start with you.
Sure. So, you know, as we think about how we go forward with our trail network on the forest, it's really critical for us to look at, not just on an individual trail, but an area that gets used, and how do we think about a sustainable trail network, and really importantly, how that connects to the communities that can benefit from that. And that's not only because of the, we want to have these trails that are sustainable in terms of, reducing any impacts to the resource, but also that they're providing an economic driver for the communities that are close by. Sometimes we joke sometimes, like, we could have the world's best trail network, right? But if it's not connected into the community in a way that they're benefiting, well, maybe they stop at the gas station and get a bag of chips, and then they go back to Asheville, right? But they're not investing in that local community afterwards. And so, a good example is like in Old Fort, where we're working with the community there in Old Fort, looking at the trail network, but it's connected into the community itself. And you're seeing that the revitalization of that downtown and things. So that's really where we need to go across the forest. And so we have, because we're so spread out, we have to be prioritizing where we go and working with those communities to say, okay, we're going to go here next, and we're going to go there next, and to make it work.
Excellent, Dwayne. What is your anticipation for 2023, the year of the trail?
Well, that's we just are going to be supportive. Sometimes you have to let other people be. And we plan to be supportive of what the coalition is going to put together of state trails to sort of follow their lead. And I'm not afraid of that. When I followed their lead before, it led to a lot of the successes we've had. So my staff is going to those meetings. They're meeting with them. They're planning exciting things. I'm an accountant. I don't know how to plan excitingly. So we will listen, but we're not, the department is doing some forefront of things where they're looking at music trails and things of that nature. But as far as what is actually myself doing, I'm just letting staff take the lead on it. They have things planned across the state, and I'm sure they'll be very interesting.
Excellent. Tracy?
Sure. So it may be surprising to folks, but Blue Ridge Parkway really historically hasn't had a very large trails program. Obviously there's the motor road and then there are trails associated with it, but it was never really a fundamentally large part of the operating budget of the parkway. And so we've relied, I think, very heavily on volunteers to get a lot of the work done. And I think we're going to look at that a little bit differently. We are working with Blue Ridge Parkway Foundation, which is our primary philanthropic partner, to fund for this next year. And we hope it will continue because we're hiring a permanent person, a trails coordinator position who will focus entirely on doing an assessment of our trails and helping us articulate what the prioritized needs are for the trails that exist in the park, because they need some love, they need some attention. We don't think we're going to get some massive increase in operating budget anytime soon. None of us think that we're going to. We gave up hope on that a little while ago. One day it'll come. But I mean, I think, not to scream the woes of the operational budget, but at the Blue Ridge Parkway, we've lost 75 positions in 20 years, and most of them have been in maintenance and in law enforcement. And maintenance for us would include the people who might be able to do some of the trailhead work, some of the investments in the drainage and things like that. We are going to be doing some investing through our investment dollars that are coming as a part of the bipartisan infrastructure bill. The things that came in from the Great American Outdoors Act primarily went to transportation in the parkway first. So we're doing 100 miles of road, really deep resurfacing of the road. And if you've driven the parkway, you know that we need to do that. That was the thing that got prioritized first out of all of our projects. But then we're going to spend some money with this trails position, taking stock of all the trails to figure out where we need to invest first and to try to prioritize, because it is becoming increasingly important as a part of what we do. And I anticipate over the long term, us putting more and more on the trails program, because I think it's something that we have to do. We're seeing that people are using it. And it hasn't always been a big focus of the parkway, but it will be.
Thank you for that. And Lisa?
Yeah, so there's a lot of trails in the Smokies, as you all know, we'll be looking to continue development of our Trails Forever program to handle a lot of the deferred maintenance that occurs on trails, especially the 10 or so really highly used trails, and as others have alluded to, I think some of our focus for going forward is going to be on dispersing that recreation. There's a lot of other trails besides those 10 super popular ones. So that's part of an initiative that we'll continue to pursue. As it relates to the MST, I think we have progress towards sort of better ways to jointly, advertise and communicate about where the trail is and how it connects and how people can find it and experience it. So whether that's improving signage, near the Junaluska Visitor Center, or if that's improving really the information on the Park Service website, I think there's opportunity for going forward, especially in this big upcoming year, to make sure that we're working together to get the word out, for sure.
Excellent. And our wonderful Betsy put out in one of her emails, if you had any questions for our panel members, to go ahead and send those in. And we got a couple. So I'd like to turn to that. So I'm actually going to read an audience member question. This individual's question is, what ways are your respective agencies planning to support MST progress and maintenance of the current path in the immediate future and long term? So I guess we will start with, we'll go back to you, Lisa. There you go, Lisa.
Let's start with Tracy.
Okay, we'll start with Tracy.
I got a fist bump that way. Okay, let's see. Well, okay, so I'll talk about a couple things I'm pretty excited about. I mean, there's a few. One, we're putting in for some scenic byway grants, and we're hoping that we're successful in this way. And one of them is to look comprehensively across the whole 469 miles at these areas where we have significant off-parkway parking, where it's not associated with a formal parking area, but people have made it one because there's a destination they want to get to. We've done some analysis and looking in the Asheville corridor. We want to extend that to the full parkway and identify places where we might be able to prioritize some expansion of parking if that's appropriate in that area, or linking to trails where there's parking available someplace else, so that we can then go back in and do some of the restoration in areas where we don't want parking to be, because there are some places, if you drive along, you'll see we're going to lose the road because of the erosion from the roadside parking. So that's one thing that we're doing. The other, we're also seeking scenic byways money for a comprehensive sign proposal that would go through and replace all 5,000 plus signs that we have along the parkway. And they're significant, they're beautiful, so they get stolen, kind of unfortunately. But the signage that we're seeking would be signage that would be both inside the park and in our gateway communities to help people get to their desired destinations, including trailheads. Because it is kind of difficult for people if they don't have intimate knowledge of the area, if they're in an area where cell coverage is bad, to know where they're supposed to go. So those are some of the things. And then one other thing I'll mention, which we haven't talked about yet, is accessibility. We're going to be embarking on an accessibility self-assessment this year, where we go developed area by developed area to look at whether or not we have features and experiences that are accessible in each of our developed areas. It is very difficult if you have mobility impairments or any issues with accessibility to get onto a trail at Blue Ridge Parkway, or to get into developed areas, buildings. And these are all things, I think, combined that contribute to getting people onto trails appropriately, getting people onto the MST in the right place from the parkway. And I think will allow for a sustaining experience, because the way that we can see things going with the amount of visitation isn't really sustainable if what we're attempting to do is also protect the resources and people's safety. So I think kind of diverting ourselves back to a place where we can have, we can be celebrating another 45 years from now how well we have done, we'll make those investments now.
Excellent. So hopefully whoever wrote in that question, that was an amazing answer. So thank you very much. Any of you want to speak on that as well?
I'll go ahead and say that our model is that maintenance is not handled by the state, but rather we assist them in any type of training and things of that nature. And the way we look at it is that we will assist the consortium of the state trails, which MST is one of, as they pursue money from the same place we get money, the governor and the legislature. And we work in tandem with them on those things. It doesn't make much difference whether it flows through us to them or goes straight to them. And that's how we plan to assist. I don't see us changing that model anytime soon.
Excellent. James?
I think the only thing that I would add is that, as we do the work to look at the sustainability of our trails, I think that's what's really important, working with MST and other partners to make sure that we're making those thoughtful investments in, where we're siting things, that we have to reroute trails, that we're, sometimes some ranger, blessed a old logging road as a trail, right? Or something. So like really doing that work to thoughtfully site or reroute things to make sure they're in a place that's going to make sense long term, and thinking about how we, as we see, and making them resilient, those places resilient, so that if we're making investments that, that we know that they're going to be more resilient to the types of storms and floods that we're getting more and more of into the future, so that you all aren't having to go and replace an old culvert that is just going to blow out the next time around.
All right, Lisa.
Yeah, no, see, it's been well covered. The only the only thing I would add is that, I think the continued sort of trying to connect, visitors from the park to the trail and vice versa will be an ongoing initiative for the Great Smokies. And Tracy just made me remember that we also have an initiative going on for it to be able to appropriately assign at least 3 trails in the upcoming year for accessibility, so that we can begin to try to turn the ship in terms of making trails within the park accessible. So that'll be a continuing initiative for the park as well. But yeah, the connection I think is the key initiative.
Haven't these 4 individuals been amazing? Yes. I think we'll close out by this. So we are all sitting in this room with an individual, Mr. Howard Lee, that gave this speech here at Lake Junaluska over 45 years ago, And some of us in the room have the potential to be here for the next 45 years. And as we are reflecting and looking at what we want to do for the Mountains of Sea Trail and your various organizations, I would just like to end our roundtable session with where the 4 of you see your organizations going and that vision for the next 45 years. I won't start with you, Lisa. All right, Dwayne.
Well, I want her parents to stand up for me right over here. This is our moderator's parents. You gonna stand up?
Oh my goodness.
I was trying to get out of it, but in 45
Yeah, that
years,
my mother and father, Bobby and Judy Gayhart, came from Ohio. They didn't believe what the world their daughter was doing, so they had to come find out what was going on.
In 45 years, I probably won't be here, but I just hope that we all can still be doing hikes like we do today. I hope that Umstead State Park is the same park that it is today. I hope that the Great Smoky Mountains, the forest, and everywhere else are exactly as they are today. That to me is what is important in what we're doing, is we're preserving a part of our lives, a part of our world, and a part of our existence. So I don't want anything to change. I wanted those few things to be our legacy.
And James?
So before I answer the question, I need to let you all know that every year the National Forest is selected to bring the tree that's in front of the U.S. Capitol, and this year it's coming from North Carolina and from the National Forest.
Hey!
So that's a pretty cool thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're very excited. So So I just want you all to know that there's going to be different events as we get closer to the holiday season. And we'll do a tour of North Carolina, stopping at communities along the way. We're planning to go Murphy to Manio if we can make it happen. Mountains to the sea. So so anyway, so once you all know that, we need a bunch of ornaments too. So there'll be opportunities for folks to make ornaments and stuff. Wayne, I thought, answered that really well. I think, you know, our challenge on the forest is how do we make sure that we, you know, maintain what people love about these places, and especially in the face of climate change and the stressors that we're seeing, to keep the forests and the water and all the things that flow from those national forests healthy and contributing to the communities here in North Carolina. I think that is my hope for the next 45 years, that we were able to do that restoration work while we are providing those recreation opportunities for future generations in ways that may be different than the way we're thinking about it now.
Tracy, it's all you.
So in 45 years, I'll be 95. I hope I'll be sitting right here. It'd be awesome to pry me off the stage. You know, we often can't even imagine what something's going to be like 3 years from now. You know, 3 years ago, I wouldn't have had any idea our world would be changed with the pandemic the way that it has been, the way that outdoor recreation would have been brought into such incredible focus. I wouldn't have believed 3 years ago, after seeing 17 years of federal budgets, that we would have the kind of real bipartisan support that we have for outdoor spaces that we have right now. There's a nexus of opportunity that exists for us right now that I hope at the end of 45 years, people look back on those who were working, including us, including you, and they say they did a good job.
Thank you. That was amazing. And Lisa, we end with you.
Yeah, that's a hard act to follow, but that was well said. Well said. You know, I hope in 45 years we can continue to say, you know, as a group and as agencies and everyone in the room, that we left it better than we found it.
No better said than that. All right, you guys, I think now's the time to stand up and give these amazing four a round of applause. Marcia, it's all you.
Thank you all. I mean, we are so fortunate that these very busy people took time to come to talk. Be careful going down those steps. They are nasty steps, aren't they? This is like worse than hiking downhill. We are so fortunate that they came and spent time with us and shared their views with us. And I don't know that they've all been in the same room together in this way. So really, it's quite a feat. And I want to thank all the people who worked on this. Betsy, I know, worked really hard. And we kept kind of hounding them and saying, can you come, and what's the right time, and when is best in your schedule? And they did it. And it was really interesting listening to what they have to say, because they each come from a slightly different place, don't they? Their view, what they need, what they're responsible for, what their charge is, who they're responsible to, the bodies that they're responsible to. And yet, when it all came down to it, they had similar views on what needs to be done and how they can support what they're supposed to be doing, but also support our trail. And I really want to thank Julie for pulling it together and making it all work. She's quite extraordinary at what she does. You know, something I wanted to mention earlier is that while we have many people here today who have been friends and hikers and part of this organization for a really long time, we also have many new people here. And I think almost a third of the participants at the gathering are actually new people. Raise your hand if you're a new person. Now you see, oh my goodness, look at this. Welcome, welcome. We're so thrilled to be expanding in this way. So many new people have come to the trail and have become friends over the last couple of years. And that's part of the discussion we just had. And part of what Secretary Wilson said earlier is that during COVID, people discovered the trail and discovered how important it is and what a value it is to everybody. So thank you all for joining us and becoming part of our family, or as my friend Mary Stewart says, our tramily. Where is she? There she is back there. So our trail angel extraordinaire. So I think is Mike Parker in the room? There he is. Well, it is my pleasure to introduce another board colleague. Mike, by the way, for those of you who were at Frog Level Brewery last night, you heard his group play. He's quite a musician, as we kind of knew that, but now we saw him perform. Mike was terrific. And he's also a member of the Eastern Band of the Cherokee Nation. And here is Mike to carry on the rest of the evening.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Shio, say Shio. Shio, that means hello in Cherokee. Greetings. It can mean, semantically speaking, I think is the terminology for it. It can mean about 7 or 8 different things, depending who you're talking to and what the topic of the conversation is. So, not sure really where to begin. I didn't expect to speak. I'm an introvert by nature. So, my dad, he passed away recently, and one of the things I remember him telling my mom one time in church, we were in church, is like, I was being my normal self, of course, and she's, sitting in church with me, and we're sitting there, and so I'm talking about something, it has nothing to do with church probably, but I remember hearing him lean over, or she was raising a fuss with him, Carol, get him to shut up, and I remember distinctly he leaned over to her and said, Mabel, you know as well as I do, once he gets started, he's too damn lazy to stop, So my father passed away recently, and I was just thinking about that. So anyway, moving forward, I'm an Eastern Band of the Cherokee enrolled member, 3364s. I don't know what that means, but that's what they tell me. And shoot, in my short lifetime, I've had the opportunity from 2001 to 2011. I chaired and vice chaired tribal council. I was in politics for about 10 years at that level. Tribal politics are a little different from bipartisan stuff, the stuff we're used to, but watching everything going on in the world now, the bipartisan stuff has actually gotten quite similar to local tribal politics. So I will say that our chief wasn't able to make it tonight. He has a pinched nerve in his back. So I think he was actually on the coast of North Carolina in the surf recently. And one of the waves kind of flipped him and tumbled him, and it kind of pinched his nerve. So anyway, he couldn't be here. But moving forward, we've got some exciting things going on. I've been with the board now, gosh, 2.5, 3 years, I think. Some folks are here I hadn't seen in a while. I want to recognize Steve Metcalf. He's here. He was a big supporter of the trail. I think he was our tribe's lobbyist during that time period. Done a wonderful job. And during my short tenure here too, I've gotten to know the people that kind of conned me into this to be on the board. Were for Steve Metcalf, Kate Dixon, who I've grown to love and cherish our personal time together and that kind of thing. Her family, and of course Les Love. And Catherine. I consider them that's my sort of mentors through this whole thing. If you want to get something done, go see Les. He got a kind of really nice, easygoing way to get some really sort of could be potential contentious issues smoothed over and done. So it's been a pleasure working with you, Les. I've really learned a lot, so I really appreciate that. Recently I had the opportunity, post-COVID and everything, to actually attend a board meeting in person, and that's been several months ago. And so one of the things we were charged with was, talking about I guess it had been sort of a tradition at the board meetings to talk about what the trail means to you, and what this transition into this process and into this organization has meant to me has been, you know, shoot, I can't even remember the motto right offhand, but the main purpose of the trail, or the thing that really what I've learned to value with it most, it has been the people that I've actually come in contact with. Those are really its treasures all across the state, no matter what your color is, or you know, religious belief, or any of that creed, educational background. It's all the people I've met and talked to. Met a lady in line a while ago. She's having a tough time right now. She's got some cancer issues, but she was showing me her shoes, and I was talking about her pants. I said, "Man, your pants look pretty cool." Yeah. Would you stand up? And yeah, this young lady's been battling cancer, and she's doing really well. But you know, one of the I think one of the superintendents earlier had spoken about, you know, health being a real focus for some of our outdoor initiatives and things as we move forward, and they're right about that. And this young lady had said, you know, with our tribe, you know, diabetes is still a prevalent problem and an ongoing thing, and she's wearing some sort of diabetic neuropathy or shoes, or just neuropathic shoes. UFOs, is that what they're called? UFOs, yeah. So if you guys, you know anybody or anything like that, please touch base with her, check them out. And I would not have known that if if we hadn't been here at this meeting, the Mountain to Sea Trail. And as we move forward, a couple other little things I want to add is finally got to meet Howard Lee. Man, what a pleasure it's been. Thank you, Mr. Lee, for being so gracious and kind. Now, some of you may kick me for saying this, and I know Howard won't, but I'll say it anyway. Thank you for getting Hubert Davis to North Carolina. I appreciate that. Appreciate your effort there, sir. So, okay, you know, you can beat me up afterwards or whatever, but it's let's see, what else do we need to talk about? So Les and I, and Kate and the whole board, and so to edify everyone else, we've really been working hard from the Cherokee side, up here at Soco Gap, just a few miles up the road. Just below Soco Gap, there's a set of waterfalls, Soco Falls. Well, just here in the past year or two, Les and some of the folks from the Mountain to Sea Trail, Carolina Mountain Club folks, we've gotten together, and we've mapped out, and our tribe is through our architectural firm has actually mapped out a trail system around the Soco Falls. It'll be a mile loop around. Well, we got the bright idea. Why don't we just connect it, build a spur off of the trail from the Soco Gap down to the falls? So hopefully within the next 2 years, that will be reality. There'll be plenty of parking, improving the safety issues down there where it's currently at. The infrastructure will be improved, have some nice restrooms, and just another place for folks to get outdoors. And Tracy Swarthout, we're going to need your help with this. So I really like what you guys were saying up here. Great Smoky Mountains lady, I can't remember your name, forgive me. You know, we have some solutions too. You know, my day job, I'm the destination marketing director for Cherokee, but we know elk is a big draw. They're fantastic animals. Lots of fun to get out and see them, but you know, we can love them to death, and in the process, we're loving the entrance to our parks right there, to the Blue Ridge and the Great Smokies, to death. And so I've got some solutions for you guys too, but I need your help. Let's see. You know, one thing too I learned, I'm a grandfather, got several grandchildren. My 8-year-old, it's hard to get him off of Fortnite, right? Halo, stuff I'm not really familiar with. But one thing I found that really kind of helps, and it may help some of y'all, I don't know, you can try it, is, you know, and this is something park people you can help me with too. I got to know, you know, is Bigfoot real? Because I can get him outside and into the woods with me, you know, this day and age. I'm like, hey, let's go hunt for Bigfoot, you know, really. got this little magazine clip, and this was no right up here in the Great Smokies, right here. And he's into it, man. He's like, I'm ready to go. I'm like, okay, cool. Can I bring my PS2 with me? I'm like, well, that's something you play Fortnite on, a little electronic thing. But anyway, it's really humbling to be up here in front of so many people, and my short hikes on the trails, segment 1 primarily, of course, the roughest segment. Has arguably, I guess, it's been fantastic. You know, been hiking with Catherine and Les and some other folks, and wow, the work that everybody has done over the years to maintain and keep the trails up. Howard, you got to be proud of them. They've done a wonderful, wonderful job with it all across the state. I'm trying to get hooked up with someone. I spoke with you at the concert thing the other night at Frog Level. I want to see the Venus flytraps in their natural habitat. I think that'd be cool as heck too. So anyway, I plan to be coming down east at some point to do that, to undertake that. So I want to, before we make the introductions moving forward, I want to introduce a couple of young people, Dylan Rose and Angelina Jumper. Dylan's from Cherokee, Angelina's from Robbinsville area, Snowbird we call it. And I'm going to have them come up and introduce themselves and tell you what they do. But so I was fortunate enough to Dylan and my son played football together at Swain County, and so I've been fortunate enough to know his father, his grandfather, Del Rose, and my dad were best friends growing up, that kind of thing. So we're connected in so many ways. But Dylan has a real passion for everything we're doing here, and so I asked Les one day, "Do you mind if I'd love to be able to get our own Cherokee trail maintenance crew started." And so I know this young man has got a lot of energy and passion. I'm too old and crippled to do that kind of thing anymore. So I know Les is trying to get some more out of me, but I'll try Les. But these guys, they really, I think, are, they want to get more ladies involved, more of our younger generation involved. And through this process, Les and I, we've met some folks that just happened on a guy at the waterfalls one day, and he may be here, but he was the waterfalls keeper of North Carolina or something the group's called. And so we're looking to leverage our relationship with those folks now to help us take care of our waterfalls. One of our other build outs, of course, is the Mingo Falls area. We're going to expand the trail there, create better access. We're trying to make it a handicap accessible place and create some staging areas as you hike up to the falls and things, just to make it a much better, experience for everybody. So be more inclusive in that regard. But Dylan, I'm going to let you guys go ahead and speak here, and then I'll introduce the next act coming up. So,
hello everyone. Thank you, Mike Parker. Yeah, I'm Dylan Rose. I'm the watershed coordinator for the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. I've been in this position for 3 years, carrying on a number of projects, doing numerous of restoration. Doing certain things in our backcountry, looking at trail systems, our old logging roads from back in the day, stream restoration projects. We're looking at sediment loads and things that affect that. And things that do affect that are trail systems, logging roads. And one of the things I do is help ensure that everyone's doing their job and making everything go accordingly. So it's an honor to stand in front of you guys. Plan on meeting a bunch of you guys after this, and if you guys got any questions, let me know. Thank you.
Shio Nagata, Angelina Deltadig, Dagwadoa. Hi, everyone. My name is Angelina Jumper. I am the Cultural Resources Supervisor for the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. And as well, I also am the supervisor for the Junaluska Museum in Robbinsville, North Carolina. My job is to interpret the story of the Snowbird Cherokees. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Snowbird Cherokees, but we're about 50 miles southeast of the main koala boundary that the Mountains to Sea Trail runs through. And, we're really excited because the Junaluska Museum is actually about to expand and move to a new location. In our old location, we have the Junaluska Memorial Site, which is the grave site of Junaluska. And beside it, we actually have this really awesome medicine trail that has interpretive signage along with medicinal Cherokee plants that we have used for, generations to come. That site, so awesome because it was kind of a grassroots movement to put it all together. The snowbird community, saw Junaluska's grave and the memorial as a way to expand our cultural resources in Snowbird. And so when the grave site came up, the Daughters of the Revolution, they actually put a grave marker there for him in 1910. And, for a while it went neglected. So in the 90s, the Friends of Junaluska, which was a nonprofit at the time, came in and decided that they wanted to revamp this area, make him an amazing memorial, as well as create a museum next to the memorial site. So in the midst of doing that, they found out, hey, what if we add this awesome medicine trail to kind of tell our story, as well as educate people on plant medicine and, traditional Cherokee medicine. So they added this site. There's a bunch of interpretive signage and as well as biographies on the people that created the trail in the site itself. So if you guys ever find yourself in Graham County or Robbinsville, please check it out. We're in the midst of revamping it. I think, a major thing, I grew up in Atlanta. I didn't grow up on the reservation. And coming here, I didn't realize how big of an issue kudzu was. And so, our site and our trail, we're trying to recover right now from a massive kudzu issue that we've had. And so, going forth, I think that that's something that I really advocate for is, addressing the kudzu issue in the Great Smokies and making sure that, it doesn't take over our parks and our major recreational sources because, we're going through it, trying to revamp our trail and making sure that it, gets back to its place. But it's great to be in front of you guys today. And I look forward to meeting more of you all. And thank you so much for letting me speak.
Okay, great job, guys. Good job. One more round of applause, please. Thank you so much. And thank you again for the opportunity to allow us to be part of this. And as we move forward, one more thing, Dwayne, an accountant. I was going to tell you the rest of the story. So so I'm in church, right? And I'm, my parents are trying to do what they need to do without embarrassing the congregation, without embarrassing themselves. So my dad, of course, leans over, not to my mom this time, but to me, he grabs me by the ear. Son, and this is my first experience with accounting. If you don't be quiet, I'm gonna bust your assets. So I'm not an accountant. So anyway, true story. I think the Warriors of Anagadua are getting ready to perform, and as they do, just kind of let yourselves be taken back to probably 15th, 16th century Cherokee and some of the things that occurred back then, the dress, the feel, and the magic. That's it, yeah. Thank you, everybody. Yeah.
Mike, there you go. Maestro, what were you doing back here? Come on. How y'all doing tonight? All right. Man, this is fun, I'm telling you. I want to explain what you just saw. You know, a lot of times when uh, people come to Cherokee, you know, I'm a child of the 70s. I was actually born in 69, and I've seen the world change a lot. But when we were growing up, Cherokee was the place to be. It was the most awesomest place, and the people would drive into town, and they would see the Indians standing on the road, and they would roll down their windows. They would hang themselves out and go, woo, hey, Indian! Have you all ever done that before? Have you ever went, woo, 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 woo? We're going to do it real quick. On three, everybody, every man, woman, and child, as loud as you can. Woo, 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 woo. 1, 2, 3. Kind of weak, guys. Pretty weak. But the big man here that was leading us out, I asked him to stand forward and come forward, and his name is John Grant. When he's like the captain, the big guy on our Indian ball team. He's center ground. He holds us together. He's an awesome singer, craftsman. He's a multifaceted. But when he come in, he didn't come going, woo, 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 woo. You know, we usually have a little contest, boys and the girls, and you know, in our school system, and it's always the boys that win. They're going, yes, in your face. But when we say, when you're doing that, you're acting like a woman. Look at what you talk about. See, when a woman in the Plains tradition wants to honor someone, she puts her hand in front of her mouth, goes, la, 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 la. It's a way of saying, good job, way to go. But when this man came in, he came in yelling like this. That's the challenge. We have come to challenge. We have come to, you know, when we play Indian ball, we'll challenge the other team. It's kind of like the Maoris of New Zealand. We're challenging. But today, what we're challenging, we challenge ourselves. We challenge other Cherokees to pick up our culture. You know, and each one of these men have a lot of talents that we, you know, I'm so proud of these men and who they are, and that for many years we have stood and represented our people. We are official ambassadors of the tribe. We are not pretend Indians. We are not reenactors. We are the real deal. So give John Grant a round of applause. I'm gonna ask Sonny to come forward, and come on over here, Sonny, so they can get a good look at you. Now, Sonny, I don't know if you know this, but he is our poster child. If you go to Cherokee, you're apt to see this dude. He's on billboards, in any post office you'll go. I know this is an older crowd. Some of the young ones are going, what is he talking about? But here's the thing, we are not pretending to be who we are. We have, what we did is we have picked up who we are. And we have been going with it. When we started doing this 20 years ago, you know, we were kind of losing stuff. But we started picking it back up, and he does this 24/7. We are not pretending. We're not just dressing up. He lives this. He's got an old style haircut. And come on over here, Sonny, so I don't have to walk. In the old days, what they would do is they would take clamshells and they would pull the hair out, leaving a little bit of top knot hair. If you turn it around and show this, this is a part, you know, when they say scalping, this is the stuff we would make this pretty and say, you come and take it if you can. Because these men, they're very proud of who they are. The way that he's dressed today, he's not dressed for war. If we were dressed for battle, we'd be stripped down into breechcloths. There, thank you. Why are you laughing? Anyway, we'd strip down and wear red paint. That's the reason they call us the red men, not the color of our skin, because of the red paint we'd wear when we go to war. We're actually a nice mocha, a nice chocolate color. This is Sonny Lefford. Give him a round of applause. Our next warrior, I'm asked Daniel Tramper to stand forward in front of you. Now, this man is actual royalty. He is a bona fide star in the Indian world. He is a 3-time world champion hoop dancer. You can give him a round of applause for that. If you don't know what Native American hoop dancing is, go look it up on the YouTube. You know, go. I'm serious. This man was the best in the world. He did it as a senior, and I also did it as in the young man's class 2 times, once. Yeah, but the man can do it. He's a champion fancy dancer, an awesome human being. He's our contact person. If you ever want to book us, get a hold of this dude. But I'm very proud of him because he could be doing this anywhere in the world. He could be doing hoops, but he comes to dance and represent our people, the Cherokees. You know, we've been around for at least 13,000 years. That's as long as they can document us. We say we've been here forever, and we're not going anywhere. Give Daniel Tramper a round of applause. Young man coming up here is he's probably one of my best friends in the world. We kind of played football together. We run the roads. We've done a lot of things we shouldn't have been doing together. I know, yeah. But the fact is, you know, we're pushing 50 plus years old, and he's still out there playing Indian ball. He's still out there doing it, you know, with the young men. His Indian name, his last name is Tushka, and that's actually a Choctaw word, and it means warrior. And that's what he is. He's a warrior. He represents our people. Till this day, he's still out there as a man representing. This is Will Tushka. Give him a round of applause. I'm going to bring Micah up. Come on up, Micah. I was picking on Micah last time we danced because one thing, you know, I was picking on him saying that he was going to lose. It was the night of the championship game because this man went to Kansas. You can boo him right now. There you go. Kick her out. Kick her out. But here's the thing. Why I have a lot of respect for Micah is he's got, not only does he got a degree, he's got a master's degree. Yeah, you can give him a round of applause for that. But if you look up on his arms and on his legs, you're gonna, his legs you can't see, but he's got tattoos. He used to wear the old style haircut, and he probably one of the best. He's got one of the best heads to wear. He's got a good look. He has the best. I mean, but here's the thing: if you saw him, you think, walk away from this guy. But he's educated, and he's teaching his kids. Here's the thing: this is what's most important. We can't just do this. We're not here to entertain you. We are entertaining, but we're here to educate you. And this man is doing his best to save the language, teach his kids. He's not just talking, his kids are doing it. Give him a round of applause. I'm gonna save the best for last, and if he's Mr. Bullock standing here, if he come on up, do you need some help, sir? Let me help you. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Bullock, tell him how old you are.
65.
65, yes. Yes. You know, all the ladies in the house are going, oh, Bullet. All the ladies love Bullet. Here's the thing. We have a lot of respect for this man. He sets a good example, mental, physical, and spiritual. He lets us know that we've got to be in touch with taking care of our bodies, being able to get out and do what we can. We're talking about Indian ball. He can still get out and do it. And you're talking about these trails. He's a surveyor, and he walks up and down these mountains like a billy goat, still to this day at 65 years old. He can still do it. He still represents. He cares about the language. He's a philosopher of things, about being native. And he teaches us a lot, and we have a lot of respect for this man. So give him a round of applause. You know, generally we don't like to perform just like this, but since there's not a lot of room, I'm gonna ask the guys if they would go out into the audience, find themselves a partner. Now, if you if you tend to say no to them, they are carrying weapons of mass destruction. So if they go out there and oh, you've been chosen. Yeah. See, he is smart. So you guys are trails from, tell me, from east, from the coast to the mountains, right? Mountains to the coast. It works that way, don't it? Well, one thing you got to know is that as Cherokees, we've been in these mountains for at least 13,000 years, and we knew how to navigate. We knew how to, you know, our mark is still there. A lot of those trail systems that you have, those are ours. We were walking, we were doing things, moving and shaking from all the way from Mesoamerica all the way up into Canada. We would travel. They would say some of the men, they would walk 50 miles in a day. We prized being able to walk for long periods of time, lots of stamina. And so I teach our young people that we need to embrace that, to embrace being people of the trail, to be able to walk and to actually continue that type of activity. So I'm going to ask these men to circle up. I'm going to let John be our lead. He's the big bear man. We're going to do a bear dance. So what's going to happen? I'm going to borrow is this lady that was laughing at me right here? Well, it's not funny. Stand right here. What's going to happen is we're going to do the bear dance and we act like bears. One time I saw a lady doing the bear dance and she was dancing like this. Bears don't move like that. Bears kind of move like this. Ah! When I raise my rattle, all the men are going to turn back to the woman and they're going to go, ah, 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 ah. You know what she's going to do? She's going to go, rah, rah. She's going to give it right back to them. They'll dance around this. In the old days, this is a courting dance. My grandpa said they would do this late at night when all the kids were asleep because you had frisky bears. This is before disco. This is before the raves. So we were dancing, and this was a courtship dance. You usually find somebody you're kind of sweet on, and you would paw a little bit. So you're gonna get pawed here in a second. Your husband's over there, like, well, all right. Get your paws up. Get your paws up. Follow him. Follow him. Yeah, that's your partner. Yeah. Here we go. Way, 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 way. How you da, honey? Yeah, yeah. How you da, honey? Yeah, yeah. How you da, honey? Yeah, yeah. How you da, honey? Hey, yeah. How you da, honey? Hey, yeah. How you da, honey? Yeah, yeah. How you da, honey? Yeah. Hey, yeah, how you done? Hey, yeah, how you done? Hey, yeah, how you done? Hey, yeah, hey, ya gonna, hey, ya gonna, hey, ya gonna. Hey, yeah, hey, ya gonna, hey, ya gonna. Hey, yeah, hey, ya gonna, hey, ya gonna. Hey, yeah, hey, ya gonna, hey, ya gonna, hey, ya gonna. Hey, yeah, hey, ya gonna, hey, ya gonna. Hey, yeah, hey, ya gonna, hey, ya gonna. Hey, yeah, hey, hey, ya na wa dige. Nega ya ese. Ona da sheha. Gule zu yo he. We ya ese. Ya he, wega we, ya he. ya hey, wiggle way, ya hey, wiggle way, ya hey, wiggle way, ya hey, wiggle way, wee. Wow. All right. We're gonna give them a workout. Actually, I'm gonna call up Dylan and Angelina. Dylan and Angelina. It's a power couple. Actually, I work with Angelina, so we are from the same area. And the reason I'm calling them up is because we're actually from the town of Chioa. That's Robbinsville. That's the proper name for Robbinsville is Chioa. But there's little snowbird. Oh God, she's got. Oh, look at those heels. Wow, I did not know. And look how much. Look how tall she is, and she's still. Well, there you go. But another town that's right by there is Buffalo, the town of Buffalo. And here's the thing: what people don't know is that there were buffaloes in the east. They were kind of built like Cherokees, a little bit more robust, a little shorter, but they were strong. But the last buffalo was killed in Asheville around 1780, 1790. They killed it. It was the last one. But today we're going to honor the buffalo. And what's there you are again. She's still laughing at me. It wasn't that funny. All right, come here. Come on over here. What we're going to do is we're going to be acting like a buffalo. We're going to stamp and move like the buffalo. And what's going to happen, we call it the bulls and the cows. I'm not calling you a cow, but I'm a bull. What happens is they're going to kind of saunter over, and when they're going to go, boop, they're going to, oh, God, broke my hip. Got a lot of bump in that trunk. So we're gonna honor the buffalo, and we're gonna sing for the town of Buffalo. So circle up there, Dylan. Don't hurt your lady there. Everybody get their horns up. Horns up. Hey, Wingo, he away. Hey, Wingo, hey, away. Hey, away. Hey, Wingo, hey, away. Hey, away. Hey, Wingo, he away. Hey, Wingo, hey, away. Hey, away. Hey, Wingo, hey, away. Hey, Wingo, he away. Hey, Wingo, hey, away. Hey, away. Hey, Wingo, hey, away. Hey, hey. I know, hey, I know, hey. I know, hey, I know, hey, yo, I know, hey. I know, hey, yo, I know, hey. I know, hey, yo, I know, hey. I know, hey. I know, hey. I know, hey. I know, hey, yo, I know, hey. I know, hey, yo, I know, hey. Hey, wow. Give him a round of applause. Dylan and Angelina, I'm gonna let you have a pass, considering those buffalo shoes are not gonna work up here. So you can go ahead and sit down, but we might call you back in a little bit. Give them a round of applause. We're gonna partner with two lines. We're gonna do the ant dance. So who's got this there? Yeah. Now. Yeah, go yeah. Now what's gonna happen? I'm gonna borrow Will's lady. Come on up here. Now what's gonna happen is this is the most awesomest dance because it has a real lesson in it. You know, as people, we need to realize that when we work together, we can do anything. But when we don't work together, our world will fall apart. And here's the thing, an ant is itty bitty. An ant, a lot of people they just kind of don't think too much about, not unless he's biting on you. But ants literally move mountains. They can do lots of things because they work together. And we would watch and see how they interacted. They are very communal. They will talk to each other. And so this dance is kind of telling their story. What's going to happen is, last time we had the buffalo. I had this one lady do this one time. That's a moose. We're not doing that. But what's going to happen? We're going to get our little antennas, and you got to put them up like that. And what's going to happen? They're going to go around and around. They're going to keep, yeah, there you go. We're going to follow the leader, but eventually they're going to come and they're going to talk to each other. So they'll bend down and they'll touch their little antennas, and they're going to say "she-o."
She-o.
Everybody say "she-o." You know, when Tobey Maguire, he had me at "she-o." That's it. They're just saying hello. But when you do it again, you gotta say "she-o," and you gotta wiggle your caboose when you do it. You don't have to do that, but we like it though. Go ahead. So basically, it's follow the leader. Just follow the guy in front, but eventually they'll talk, and just say "she-o" when you're talking. Here we go. Honey, yeah, honey, yeah. Honey, yeah, honey, yeah, way, way, honey, yeah, way, way, honey, yeah, honey, yeah, honey, yeah, honey, yeah, honey, yeah, way, way, honey, yeah, way, way, honey, yeah, honey, yeah, honey, yeah. Honey, yeah, honey, yeah, way, way, honey, yeah, way, way, honey, yeah, honey, yeah, honey, yeah, honey, yeah, honey, yeah, way, way, honey, yeah, way, way, honey, yeah, honey, yeah, honey, yeah. Way, way, honey, yeah. Way, way, honey, yeah. Way, way, honey, yeah. Honey, yeah, honey, yeah. Way, way, honey, yeah. Honey, yeah, honey, yeah. Honey, yeah, honey, yeah. Whee! Ah, round of applause. All right. You know, it's cold outside. Baby, it's cold outside. Oh, that was terrible. Golly. And they're going to hate me here in a second. We're going to do the horse dance. Yes, you called it. You called it. This is our closest dance to Indian aerobics, other than the powwow dances that you'll find. They're going to be linked up. They're going to be like a team of horses. 2 lines. I guess they're going to do 2 lines. Now, I don't know if you know this, but you ever seen a Tennessee walking horse? They got style. But you know, horses can dance. Horses got style. They will actually dance and prance. What they're going to be doing is they're going to be moving forward and back like a team of horses. I'm going to tie my shoe. Okay, hold on. Where's that lady laughing at me again? Man, I got a complex from her. She hurt me. Hurt me bad. There we go. Hold on a sec. So they're going to move forward and back. Don't dance off. Don't hurt yourself. If you fall, by the time you land, you're fired. You're not on the team anymore. They're going to move forward and back like a team. Forward and back. But the song's going to pick up, and they're going to dance. And so this is our horse dance. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. ho, yeah. Hey, ah, 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 ho, yeah. Ho, yeah. Hey, ah, ho, yeah. Ho, yeah. Ho, yeah. Ho, yeah. Hey, ah, ho, yeah. Hey, ah, ho, yeah, ho, yeah, ho, yeah, ho, yeah, hey, ah, ho, yeah, hey, ah, ho, yeah, hey, ga nego say, hey, na, yo, hey, away, hey, away, hey, ga nego say, hey, na, yo, hey, away, hey, away, hey, ga nego say, hey, na, yo, hey, away, hey, away. Chuck Willie all star digga no ne hey way ah hey away way ah hey away hi away gonna hey ha ho wah yeah yo wah yeah hi away gonna hey ha ho wah yeah yo wah yeah wee ah round of applause. Hey, is Jessica from Raleigh still here? I see you. She's like in the and hello to the nosebleeds up there. What happened to you guys? Uh, Jessica, that's you're there. She's like, yeah. Come to me, Jessica. Is that you? Yeah, come. Yeah, yeah. Yes, that's you. Come to me. We'll wait on you. It's okay. You take your time. We'll give him a little bit of a breather. Oh, it's Jennifer. Jessica, get your buns up here. Oh, come on up. Oh, I didn't have my readers on. I'm sorry. I'm getting older. We kind of vandalized the place a little earlier, me and her. I told her I wouldn't tell, but I lied. But it's not bad. But anyway, we're gonna do a mixed dance for you. It's kind of like Indian square dance. This is a social dance that we do. It's one of the it is one of the not going there, guys, not going there. But here's the thing, it's a dance that when we dance it, you can do it if you can make fun of people, you can talk about people. It's social, but it also can be very spiritual. It's the intent, and that's the thing when we dance as a collective, as the Warriors of Vonnegut, every one of these men have tremendous egos. Every one of them, in a good way. I mean that in a good way. Each one of these, they are superstars in their own way, but we know that we have come to do a bigger purpose. We know that when people watch us dance and when those kids see us doing what we're doing, we have made a difference. And so when we're doing this, we're dancing for our ancestors. We're dancing we're dancing to let you see a little bit of a piece of who we are. You know, a lot of times when you think of Indians, all you think of is Kimasabi. You think we just run around and want to fight. We don't like to fight. We like to eat. We like to socialize. We like to tell stories. You know, if you ever go into Indian communities and really get to know them, you can get to know that we love our family. We love our culture. We love our God. And so tonight we're going to dance for that. We're going to dance and celebrate that. And, you know, we're not asking permission. We're asking, you know, the only one we're asking is for him. So when we're dancing, we're going to have a good time, socializing. So they'll just do what I do, and we're going to have a good time. You know, I do want to thank all these young ladies that have come up. Give them a round of applause. We generally like to include everybody, but just because of the size and limitations, and I want to try to get these men home because we got to go back over the mountain. And so we're going to say, in our language, we're going to say ski. That means that is it. Literally, that's what it means. That's it. So everybody say ski. That means that's it. You guys have a great night. Appreciate you for having us here.
All right, y'all. Well, I guess as the new guy in the room, I drew the short straw having to follow that. So, but give them one last round of applause, please. So for those that I have not had a chance to meet yet, my name is Brent Lawrence. I am the new executive director of the Friends of MST Trail. So I've been on the job about 2.5 months now. So I learned something every day, but I've learned a whole lot today. And I've been so thankful to meet so many of you, strong supporters of the trail and the friends groups. I really want to thank you all for coming out tonight and today and yesterday for those who made it there by that time. So really great to see such an awesome crowd. Also, want to extend an enormous thank you to all of our wonderful presenters, panelists, performers this evening. It was an amazing kickoff to this weekend, and give everybody that was up here on the stage one last round of applause. And I do want to thank our dinner sponsor this evening, Visit NC Smokies. We really appreciate their support and hope y'all got enough of that good food down there at the York Dining Hall. I know I did, and really appreciate their support of the trail and the Friends group too. Finally, before we close out this evening, just want to thank all of you for being here with us. I think we're all here because we're so passionate about the Mountain Sea Trail. And I know for me personally, being so brand new, I'm excited to meet so many of y'all. And while I'm new, I know it's really special to be back here 45 years later after Mr. Howard Lee proposed the trail here 45 years ago in this very spot. So I think it's great, that's special, and I'm really glad y'all are here to celebrate and enjoy that with us. We got a big day tomorrow. So I just want to wrap up with a couple final things, let y'all get on with your evenings, and then we'll see y'all back here tomorrow. Couple quick housekeeping items. Breakfast opens at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning for you early risers. I'm sure there'll be plenty of coffee for all of us. It's at the same spot as we had dinner. And that'll be available till 8:30 a.m. when the buffet will close down. You should have gotten a meal ticket when you checked in. If you did not get a meal ticket for tomorrow, breakfast and lunch, stop by at the merch table on the way out and make sure you get that. If you got a ticket and you're not going to be here with us tomorrow, if you could drop it off there, that'd be fantastic too. Really appreciate that. After breakfast, this room here will open at 8:45 and our program will start at 9:30. So you'll have time to check out the merch, check out the maps, mingle, but that'll be good. And then one last reminder, is quiet hours here at Lake Junaluska start at 10 p.m. this evening. So as you take your leave of us this evening, make sure you just kind of keep that in mind for the other guests here as well. So we look forward to a big day tomorrow. I know I'm excited to meet more of y'all and learn more about the trail, and hope you have a great evening, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. So thank you so much.